The following is a live sports event featuring the Abernathy Antelopes or Lady Lopes and is under the direction of AA Sports Properties in partnership with Abernathy ISD. This broadcast cannot be reproduced or retransmitted without the written consent of AA Sports Properties. Tonight's broadcast is made possible by the support of our generous sponsors: MC Master Roofing and Construction, South Plains Auto Ranch, First State Bank, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Abernathy First Baptist Church, Storm Guard, Clark Riley Insurance, Able Funeral Home and Flower Shop, Plains Land Bank, JC Refrigeration, Spradlin Spray Service, Vista Bank, Lambert Insurance, The Junkin Farmers Market, Ty Horsford Realtor, and DB Media. Buckle up and enjoy all of the exciting action with the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes.
Rolando. This time he takes it himself, untouched, into the end zone. Rolando Martinez from 1 yard out, and the Abernathy Antelopes strike first. Comes Michaela Marshall off the dribble. Mid-range jumper. Marshall gives Abernathy the lead. Now he hands it to Rolando. Burst of speed up the middle. Dagger! Touchdown! Superman! Now, second, stolen away in the corner. Flores. It's good! Flores the steal! And the three-pointer as time runs out. Flag comes in. The punt is blocked. And it's going to be an Antelope touchdown. Barring the penalty, as it's Cash Garcia who blocked it, scooped it, and scored it.
And what is up, Abernathy, Texas? And what's up, fans of the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes? Ty Horsford alongside Chance Rocha as we are back outside the box here for week number 7. And Chance, let's go ahead and break the ice. Our surprise guest interview of the week is... Hang on just a little bit.
Yeah, you have to wait a little bit longer.
We'll tell you a little bit later on in the program. We've got an exciting show for you here today, including an interview that I know you guys are going to all be excited to hear. But before we get into that, let's talk some Abernathy Antelope football chances. Coming off of the lone bye week of the season, Abernathy's had 2 weeks to prepare for what promises to be an exciting District 2 2A race. And going to talk about that a little bit in depth here this evening, as the Abernathy Antelopes will open district on Friday night, 7 o'clock at Antelope Stadium, as they're going to be taking on the New Home Leopards. To my knowledge, the first time the two teams have ever met, and two of the favorites in the district. And so lots on the line when they meet up on Friday night, Chance. But we'll preview that specific matchup a little bit later in the show. But as you take a look at District 2 2A, you've got Abernathy and New Home, but there's some other teams right there that are more than capable of contending for a district championship.
Yeah, for sure, Ty. You know, we've talked about it, just me and you at length. We had an extra Friday off, so we had some other things to talk about, with the bye week happening. But I think going into district, at the beginning of the year, they picked Abernathy to win it, and then it was New Home, New Deal, Alton, and Post was down there at the bottom. And that's one of those surprise teams. They came in, they're coming off 2 really, really tough years. They've started 5-0, and really this is the best start they've had since they went back-to-back state championship runs. I mean, they came up short in the state championship, but, since then they've gone a combined 9-23.
Yep.
And they only won 4 games the past 2 years. So that's the reason they've kind of been ranked much lower. But they've made a huge push and kind of put their name out there as say, hey, y'all may have put us at the bottom of the district, but we're a force to be reckoned with. And they kind of really made a statement on their last non-district game, beating Farwell 59-6, and that really opened up some eyes, I believe, around the district and let everybody know that the Abernathy Antelopes aren't the only Antelopes contending.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case, and obviously it's been a few down years in Post, but Post, they know how to win. It's a tradition-rich program. They've had really good teams back to even when I was in school and before that, and so Post, you plan on them being a force to be reckoned with, and I don't know, Chance, Newhome's a team that's hard to figure out.
Yeah.
As I still look at them as one of the favorites in this district, just because of the success they've had. They've kind of been the cream of the crop in Class 2A, kind of in the West Texas region over the last couple of years. They go 11-1 last year with their only loss to a Sunray team that went really deep in the playoffs and was one of the best teams in the state. The year before that, they go 13-2. And so they've lost as many games this season as they've lost the last 2 years combined, as Newhome comes in 2-3 on the season. But, they're a team that you kind of don't really know what to expect. They opened the season with a really nice win over Lubbock Cooper Liberty in a close ball game. They blew out Denver City. On homecoming, they just tore up Denver City really bad. And then they've got some losses on the season as they fell short to Muleshoe. I think kind of the surprising loss to me was their last time out when they got beat by Roscoe.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Roscoe, we don't know anything really about Roscoe other than they've played an extremely difficult schedule.
Right.
But they only put up 6 points on Roscoe. And so you just don't really know what to expect with Newhome, except for they're probably going to give you a test Friday night.
Yeah, they're going to give you a test, and you kind of mentioned it. They had the big win against Denver City, but they also played a Muleshoe team pretty close, and Muleshoe went up to Canadian and almost scored 70 points.
And they only scored 23 on Newhome.
On Newhome.
Yeah.
And so, we'll kind of talk about that going into the district matchup, but very surprising team. I think they're going to come in hungry, and I think Post is going to do the same thing. They got a game up on Friday, and I think they're going to come in hungry too. And so, it's hard to look at it, and it's hard to make predictions, but I guess that's why we have the show, and then we get to do those fun things.
I was fixing to say, what is a podcast or any kind of sports show without making ourselves look dumb and making predictions that probably will not come true? But hey, you have fun with them. And so as we take a look at the week one matchups, and Chance, it's going to be a very intriguing week one, I think, because you've got 4 teams that were picked near the top of the district all going at it in week one.
Yep.
As you've got Newhome coming to Abernathy. You've also got Post on the road at New Deal. And so 2 interesting ball games there, Chance. And as we take a look at that Newhome Abernathy game and talk a little bit about that, it's Abernathy's first time ever to play Newhome. Already feels like we've talked about this. It's going to be a rivalry. I almost kind of feel like it's going to be the next Shallowater, if you will, for the Antelopes. And I think it's going to be a really close ball game on Friday night. And I know we both have this one picked to be close. I'm gonna err on the side of the good guys here, as I've got the Antelopes in another tight one. I'm going to say 28-27 in favor of Abernathy on Friday night. Again, I don't really know what to expect other than it'll be fun. It'll be a good ball game. But I'm saying 28-27 Antelopes.
I got it pretty close too, Ty. I'm going to go 28-20, and that's just going off of Newhome. Outside of one game, they've really kind of held some teams to low scores. And so I think that they're going to come in and defend well. The biggest thing for us is going to be able to try to not be our own worst enemy. And so I agree. I think it's going to be one of those things. If we stay in this district and they stay with the same numbers, it could be a rivalry that's kind of just now starting up, but it could be a long 4, 5, 6 years playing these guys down the road for sure. So,
how do you see Post and New Deal coming out, Chance?
This is a tough one, Ty, with Post being undefeated.
My fellow ex New Deal Lion. We're going to throw that out there.
And it's not tough because of that. I did bleed green goat at once, but I'm all Abernathy.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time.
But it is one of those things that, New Deal, and we talked about this early in the season, them and Post kind of traded blows on who kind of ran the district, quote unquote. But I just don't, with Post putting up the numbers that they have, the teams they played, and kind of how New Deal has fared in the preseason or in the non-district, I got Post winning, even though they're going to New Deal. I got them winning 34-14. And that's one of those things that's just kind of what the stats are showing me right now. I don't know. I haven't seen film on either one of the teams, but that's just kind of what the numbers are showing me. So
I'm very close to that chance. I've got Post winning on the road at New Deal 38-18 and getting to 6-0 in district. And with an asterisk next to that, I've got Post picked by 20, but I would not be shocked if New Deal comes out on top in that one either. So we'll see how it goes.
I would not, and I think the only factor that we can kind of match them up together is New Deal played Farwell in the first game of the season and won by about 14.
Yeah.
Post played them right before the break, and they put 59 points up on Farwell. Granted, those are two different times of the season, but if you look at that, that's what kind of gives me that deciding factor that Post may kind of run the table, but I wouldn't be surprised if New Deal gave them a good game and came out on top too.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And then you've got Floydada and Olton. We don't know a lot about the Whirlwinds and Mustangs. Obviously, Floydada, they had a tough out last time out as a much improved Hill Center team beat them by 20 points.
Yeah.
Beat them convincingly. You've got an Olton team that has had a couple of good performances. They also got beat by ropes 49-0. Yep. And so you will probably feel like if you're either one of those two teams, I bet they feel like it's a must-win for them with what lies ahead in the rest of district. And I think this one's going to probably go the way of Olton on their home field. Is I think Floydada, they're struggling. They're having a tough year. That's not to say you can overlook them.
Right.
But I'm picking Olton big, 35-14 at home in their season opener or district opener.
Yeah. I'm going to go that too. I think home field advantage is going to play a factor. I got Olton winning 28-15, and I think that the deciding factor may be just that momentum. Olton wins 2 weeks ago over Vega. They kind of got that winning momentum back, and Floydada is coming back from a tough loss. You know, their rivals that they played this year, they lost to Floydada, and they lost to Hill Center. Floydada did, and they also lose to Lockney. Those are two big games for them. For Floydada, and for them to lose to both those games, I think Olton's going to kind of ride that momentum going into district.
So as we take a look, Chance, at the district as a whole, and we're gonna throw out some district predictions, and obviously the top four are playoff teams advance to the postseason, and I think you probably have picked up on with what we've already said and what we've already talked about. This is going to be a hotly contested District 2-2A. I think it's going to be big time football night in and night out, and like we heard Coach Wiley talk about in our interview last week. You're not going to be able to take games off because Olton or Floydada may be the lesser talented teams in the district or however you want to put that. If you let one of them slip up and beat you, that really puts you behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how it plays out. I at all would not be surprised to see either of the Antelopes, Post or Abernathy, or even New Home potentially getting hot and coming out on top in this district. Obviously, we both hope that it is the Antelopes, and don't come through the camera and shoot me here, Chance. I blame you for this. I blame you for this because you made your picks first.
I did.
And I did not want to be a copycat. However, Antelope fans, I'm using the method of reverse psychology here.
I like it.
I'm picking it in hopes that I am wrong. But I've just been really impressed with Post to begin the season. So I'm going to go Post 1. I'm going to go Abernathy 2, New Home 3, and I've actually got Olton upsetting New Deal and taking that fourth playoff spot and New Deal on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I think you had some bitterness toward New Deal, but that's okay. That's okay, Tom. I'll take it. And you got Floydada finishing 6.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So I did make my picks first, Ty. I will give you that, and I appreciate that. But I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Antelopes on top, whether it's Post or Abernathy. And so, and I think when you really look at it, it's going to be, like you said, a round robin. You kind of had a three-team battle where it's Post, Abernathy, New Home battling for district. I kind of think that it may be a 4-team square off to where, New Deal could upset a team, Post could upset a team, or we could get upset. And not that you want that to happen, but like you said, Wiley said it last week, you can't sleep any Friday just knowing, because there could be one of those things where, Post runs the table on everybody and gets upset by an Olton or a Floydada.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
So you can't sleep on that. And I think that Abernathy, going into district to start it off, you have kind of laying the matchup, and New Deal and Abernathy probably have the most favorable schedules as far as home schedules. We get to host New Home, we get to host Post, and we only have the short travel to New Deal. New Deal actually hosts everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pulled that off.
The
But they host
top teams. Yeah.
They host New Home, they host us, and then they also host Post, which is surprising.
Their 2 road games are Florida and Olton.
For sure.
Yep.
And so, but I think where our schedule kind of is in our favor is we have New Home, New Deal back to back, and then we finish the season with Post. So you can grow a lot more throughout the season going into Post, or possibly, not that you want it, you could have injuries and you could have those guys come back at the end of the season.
Absolutely.
And you don't want something like that, but that is something that you have to look at, from a number standpoint. And so I think that if we're going to compete and go for that district title, you have to take care of business against Olton and Floydada. Those are must wins. And then you have to go 2 of 3 versus New Home, New Deal, and Post.
Yep.
And you would love to sweep them all, but if you go 2 of 3, I think you're going to finish at top of the district. And, getting in the playoffs is the main thing.
For
Obviously,
sure.
district championship.
But positioning is important too.
For sure. And we kind of talked about that too. You could finish second and actually have a better position in playoffs.
Yep.
You always want that district title. You always want that gold ball, and up in the trophy case. But at the same time, looking at it and knowing, hey, as long as we get in, we can get a gold ball for by district, and we can get a gold ball for area, and those kind of things. And so, but those are my predictions. I got Abernathy Post, New Home. I got New Deal staying in there, and then Olton and Floydada staying home on the outside looking in.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, and really, Chance, especially as Antelope fans, sitting here on Outside the Box 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to know a lot.
Yep.
Because the first 2 weeks out of the box, you've got New Home, obviously, Friday, and then you go to New Deal. And so 2 really big ball games to open up district for Abernathy. You obviously close out against Post, the last game of the season. Who knows what will be on the line? There's lots of football between now and then. But that's kind of how we see it shaking out, Chance. Either way, I think the Abernathy Antelopes are going to be right in that mix, contending for a district championship.
And
so
wouldn't it be just kind of a nice looking in, going into Post, knowing, hey, you go in, you win, you get the title.
You're first, you're second.
You're first, you're second. And you kind of know what that picture looks like. And so I think that would be nice versus battling week in and week out. You take care of business these first 4 games and then know, hey, we can win district if we go out there and just take care of business. And
Absolutely. So that's kind of what's ahead. That's what to expect, if you will, in District 2A, Division 1. And it all begins on Friday night at 7 o'clock as Abernathy hosts New Home. We'll preview that specific matchup a little bit at the end of our program today. But, Chance, let's take our first time out. And you're going to want to stick with us on the other side of the break. We do have a surprise guest that's going to join us for an interview this week as we take a look around AISD. So stick with us. You're listening to Outside the Box, week number 7. At Abernathy's First Baptist Church, our mission is to love God, love people, and tell the world. Our pastor is Damon Pierce, and we want you to know that you're always welcome at Abernathy's First Baptist Church. We meet for Sunday school on Sunday mornings at 9:30, followed by our worship service at 10:45. We offer kids and youth activities every Wednesday night beginning at 6 p.m. Come as you are and join us this Sunday. We'd love to see you. We are praying the Antelopes and Ladylopes have a successful and safe school year. People of Abernathy and the surrounding area have trusted Abel Funeral Home and Flower Shop to meet all of their needs since 1991. Todd, Jackson, Sherry, and the team at the funeral home assist families in funeral and planning services, cremation services, and so much more. They treat families with love and compassion as they navigate through difficult times in their lives. Carly and her crew at the Flower Shop can also help with all of your flower, gift, and registry needs as well. You can find us near the corner of 16th and Avenue D in Abernathy, and we are wishing the Ladylopes and Antelopes lots of success this season. And welcome back. Ty Horsford alongside Chance Rocha here tonight as we are week 7 of Outside the Box, as we go into the second segment of our show as we take a look around Abernathy ISD. Chance, a big week for our cross-country teams, and we're actually going to highlight our cross-country girls and guys next week in depth on our program, as we're going to have some interviews from those coaches and student athletes. But they competed on Monday at May Simmons in Lubbock for the District 2A meet, and they had a day as the Abernathy Lady Lope and Antelope cross-country teams. The girls' team, Chance, actually finished second as a team, and so their entire team is advancing to the regional meet here in a couple of weeks, led by Bree Shorter, as Shorter finishes first overall. And so she is the District 2A girls varsity district champion. And I saw a video of that, Chance. It wasn't even close. She won by like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so she ran away from the competition. You have two boys also qualify. They finished fourth as a team. And I know they struggled to even have enough to have a team.
Yeah, for sure.
So that don't really look a whole lot at that. But Noah Rigler, we've talked about him. He's been a high finisher every week leading up to this meet. He's your boys district champion. So you have your varsity girls and varsity boys individual district champions. And Henry Webb is also going to go to the regional meet, as Henry finished sixth in the varsity boys meet. So really just a good overall performance, I think, and one that Coach Carlisle is really happy with for her cross-country Lady Lopes and Antelopes. You also had a first place JV girl individual as well. And then on the junior high side, Chance, you had Brinley Villanueva. She finished third. And then Camilla Yates placed sixth on the junior high girls side. And then on the boys side, you had Kingston Offill. He won district. And Cutter Johnston, he finished third. And so lots of medals at the district cross-country meet for the Lady Lopes and Antelopes.
Yeah, lots of hardware, and congrats to all those cross-country runners. That's not easy. And what's cool to me, Ty, is that just shows the level of competition they've been running all season. You know, they haven't been – some of them have been breaking the top 10, but for them to come out and finish, you know, in the top 10, most of them in the top 5, that just shows there's a little bit of a gap when you get to those 4A and 5A schools, but congrats to those cross-country runners and some of those some of that hardware they brought home. So let's look to Ty. You know, we always want to highlight everybody, junior high and high school volleyball. Junior high, both of them won, both 7th and 8th grade. Took care of business against Olton on Monday. They will be competing this weekend, Saturday, in a shallow water tournament. So if you want to go out on Saturday, head out to shallow water and support those junior high girls. And then the high school teams, they dropped both their matches, tough matches against Tahoka and Plains over the past 2 weeks. So tough losses for them. They're still battling. Go out and support those girls. You know, historic first season, and we're hoping to get a W for sure before the season's over with. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that time of year, Chance. Lots going on.
For sure.
Lots of exciting things going on for the Antelopes and Lady Lopes. And so now we can introduce our
I think it's time.
Surprise guest speaker. Drum roll, please, as this week, and I know, Chance, you and I both were super excited to sit down and have this chat. As on the program tonight, we're going to visit with not only a college football Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yep.
He came in 5th in the Heisman kind of watch list this last week. 2-time AAC Player of the Week. 2-time Davy O'Brien Grade 8 performance at the college level. This last week was the Manning Award Quarterback of the Week. Former standout Abernathy Antelope and current team captain and starting quarterback for the Army Black Knights. As I think by now you know who we're going to talk to.
Yep.
As we sat down this last week and talked to Abernathy's very own Bryson Daly. And just an awesome chat with just a great young man, not only representing Abernathy at the highest level, but probably more important than that, Chance, he's representing our country at the highest level. And just lots of accolades. Obviously, we didn't talk a lot about those with Bryson because he's a team guy, and that's why he's team captain.
Yep. That's for sure. And I think the biggest thing that we noticed, and some of that from the interview, but if you go and look at interviews, you know, when you have all those accolades, he's been getting interviewed. And they're peppering with all those questions, and you know what he's coming back. And I think the biggest thing for us was highlighting just where he started in Abernathy, and then, you know, where he's at now. And just some of the things that he's done so far this year. You know, his last 4 games, he's rushed for over 100 yards in all 4 of those games. He's passed for 380 yards so far on the season, 5 touchdowns. 600 plus rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. So yes, he is a team guy, but the team does rely heavily on him with him being the quarterback. But he doesn't want to take the credit for that. So, and on top of that, talking about him being an Abernathy and kind of setting the standard, when Coach Daly was here and he was bringing up before Bryson was here, he kind of set the standard. And then when Bryson came in as a freshman, they had one of their most successful seasons in 2016. And then he followed that up with a senior campaign in 2019, which was another successful season for Abernathy. So just really kind of setting that standard, and Coach Wiley and the rest of the coaches have continued that on. And so pretty exciting stuff. Don't want to spoil too much of the interview, but it was great to sit down and just visit with them for a few minutes for sure.
It was, and the Black Knights off to a 5-0 start chance under Daly as the starting quarterback for the first time this decade, as it's been almost 25 years since Army started 5-0. We talk a little bit about that with Bryson as well. But without further ado, let's kick it to our interview that we had this week with none other than Abernathy's very own Bryson Daly. Awesome. Well, today, Chance and I are joined by ex-Antelope standout quarterback and current captain and starting quarterback for the Army Black Knights, Bryson Daly. Bryson, you've got a huge fan club here in Abernathy. Lots of people watching Army week in and week out, and I just really appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time with us and talking to us today.
Yeah, no problem. I'll always take some time to talk to some antelopes.
Awesome. Well, Bryson, as we kind of talk a little bit about your time at Army, you've obviously helped guide Army off to their first 5-0 start in over 20 years. Kind of what does it mean for you to be a part of a special season like that so far, kind of a historic season to this point for the Black Knights?
Yeah, it's really special, especially looking at the past success we've had since Coach Monken got here. He's had multiple double-digit win teams that have won bowl games, been ranked. So just being mentioned among those teams and having the start that we've had is really special, and I'm really lucky to be a part of it.
Awesome.
Bryson, I know it's not just football there at Army. Can you kind of talk a little bit about not only playing football and representing Army there, but also what it means to represent your country at the highest level?
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. West Point is a very special place. I consider myself very lucky to be a student here, a player here. Some of the guests we have, like President Obama came a couple weeks ago. We've had a bunch of presidents, generals on post. So just looking around and seeing all the special people around this place, I'm very lucky to be here, and I'm trying to live up to the West Point name.
Awesome.
Obviously, Bryson, you're off to a great start. We've talked about that. Season's only half over. Lots of football left. Lots of football in front of you. So when you kind of think about that, what do you feel like the ceiling is for this year's team, and also kind of what are the keys to success the rest of the way for you guys?
I think the keys to success is just taking everything one game at a time. If we start looking too far ahead, I think that is not what we need to do. Just take everything one practice at a time, one game at a time, and just keep stacking wins. That's the goal. That was our mentality at the start of the season, just 1-0 each week. And I think if we keep doing that, then sky's the limit.
That's exciting. So, I can tell you're a very team-oriented guy. You've had some great stats and some great things up to this part of the season. But I can see you wear that C on your chest. What's that mean to be, a captain for your team, and what that means, from the coaching staff and from your fellow teammates for you to wear that on your chest?
Yeah, it's the greatest honor I've ever received. I still get chills thinking about it. I came in as a freshman quarterback, and there was 11 quarterbacks in the room. And I would look around sometimes and be like, yeah, I might be the 11th string quarterback right now. And I just never could have expected my senior year to end up in the position I am. And just having my teammates vote for me as captain was an absolute honor, because there's so many great players here, great guys here. And, at a leadership academy like West Point is, just being a leader among leaders has been really cool. And Yeah, like I said, just an absolute honor, and I'm trying to live up to that captain, every single day.
Yeah, that's awesome, Bryson. That's awesome. Switching gears and talking a little bit about Abernathy. Obviously, we've got lots of Abernathy listeners and viewers on this, but obviously, you've turned Abernathy into Army fans on the weekends. I can't tell you how many people are paying attention to Army. I know there's been a lot of Abernathy people come to different places and watch you guys play and support you. So, what does it mean for you to have so much support from the community that you grew up in?
It's unbelievable. I'll have people come to games up here, come to games when we play down in Texas. I had a ton of my former teammates and just people in the town come to Tulsa this past weekend. It's unbelievable. Just the support I have. I get texts from old coaches, old teachers all the time, just wishing me luck and showing that support. And it's awesome. People can't believe when we go to away games how many Abernathy people show up because they know how small of a town it is. So just having the presence of support from Abernathy has been awesome. I'm lucky to be from such a special community, tight knit community like Abernathy. It's been awesome.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Bryson, me and Ty talk about, there's a lot of small towns, around the country, but Abernathy is special, big on community, just a place that if you describe it to people, they probably wouldn't believe you until they actually go and be a part of it. So talking about Abernathy and talking about Texas high school football in general, how do you feel like that prepared you to play, at the next level?
Yeah. Getting to play, being Abernathy Antelope, under my dad, of course. He set a very high standard while we were playing there, and even before I was playing for the teams above, because he was there for about 10 years, I think, and he set that high standard. And when I came to West Point, a lot of the things that he held us to at Abernathy is things that Coach Monken holds us to here. So I see a lot of similarities between them. So I think that was great experience just coming into a regimented program here. That's how we had it when I was in high school, and he held us to that standard. And I also think just the community of Abernathy's very similar to the community we have here at West Point. It's tight knit. Everyone cares about each other, knows each other. It's a small school, so not quite as small as Abernathy, but it is small in comparison to other colleges. So I think it prepared me great for here. And again, just really lucky to come from such a great community.
Yeah, that's awesome, Bryson. That's awesome. When you look back on this, kind of a fun question, but when you look back on your time at Abernathy, that you spent lots of years here, played lots of games here, kind of what are some things that stick out, or are there any certain games that you remember that kind of always, when you think about your time here, come to mind?
Yeah, there's always a few games. The freshman season in general was a big one that me and my dad look back on, and we're just like, we had no business going to the semis that year. We were, week to week, barely beating teams. We didn't dominate anybody that year, but we just kept winning, believing in each other. So that was a really fun year to look back on. But then games like, going up to Childress, playing them at Dick Bivens, upsetting them, beating New Deal, stuff like that. Even the last game against Canadian that we lost, that was, selling out a D2 stadium. I tell my friends up here about that all the time. Like, yeah, 2 towns of about 2,000 to 3,000 people filled up a D2 stadium to watch some high school football. That was really cool and such a great game there. So there's a lot of games I'll look back on and remember that I was, very lucky to be a part of. And those are great memories with my teammates there that I'll have forever.
I often say that Canadian game, even though, we didn't win, it's one of the best high school football games I've ever personally watched. It was 2 really good teams going at it that day for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, Bryson, you kind of mentioned it, your freshman year, what that meant to you and kind of starting your high school career. That's kind of the district we've gone back into. We're dropping back down to big school 2A. You mentioned New Deal being one of the foes. We're playing New Home this first week, and district starts off. So if you had anything to say to the current Antelope football team,
as they get ready to head into district and trying to kind of make their mark this season? What kind of advice would you give them?
First off, beat New Deal. Always first off. But just enjoy it because there's nothing like high school football. We were having a great season up here, but there's nothing like high school football. Playing with your buddies that you played with since you were children, and just getting to enjoy it with all your friends and people in the community. Just enjoy it, but work hard every day. Trusting those guys next to you, and just play hard. That'd be my advice to those guys.
That's exciting.
Awesome. Well, man, Bryson, I know you're a busy guy. I know you've got a lot going on. So we really do appreciate you taking a few minutes to visit with you today. And I know that you got lots of fans here in Abernathy, lots of support here in Abernathy. Wishing you guys the best of luck in the coming weeks and making it a historic season, hopefully for the Black Knights. And as always, go Army, beat Navy, right?
Right.
Yep, beat Navy. I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you. Appreciate it. And there you have it, our chat this week with none other than ex-Antelope and starting Army Black Knight quarterback Bryson Daly. And, man, Chance, just football aside, just a good person, a good guy, does things the right way. I had to chuckle. He said when he started at Army as a freshman, he was probably the 11th string quarterback. But just he worked his way up the ladder, earned the respect of his coaches and his teammates, and man, he just did it the right way. He really did.
Just doing it the right way, and I think that you kind of mentioned it, just how he carries himself. Doesn't want it to be about him. He may get the accolades and things, but very team oriented. Talked about just that group of guys, what the coaches meant to him and all the players, and just how much of a brotherhood it really is. And I think that's pretty cool. But one thing that he mentioned that I thought was pretty funny is he even said it. He said, playing here at Army, playing at the highest level was awesome. He goes, but there was nothing like playing at Abernathy and playing with the guys that you grew up with.
In Texas high school football, yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool, and that's a good word to some of those kids that think, oh, I want to go to the next thing, I want to go to the next. Like, embrace the moment, be where your feet are, and enjoy it, because there's nothing like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chance, we're all rooting for Army. We're all kind of bandwagon Army fans.
For sure.
And again, they've got a chance to have a really historic season in West Point. And remaining schedule for Army, they're 5-0 currently. They've got UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, which will be a big game, one of those military ball games. North Texas, they do play third to last game of the year, number 11 Notre Dame in South Bend, UTSA, and then obviously Army-Navy to close out the season. And Chance, I looked today on kind of the ESPN game predictor as of right now, and Army's a favorite in every one of those games with the exception of the Notre Dame game in South Bend. Obviously, lots can happen.
For sure.
They're taking it a game at a time, but man, lots of opportunities out there for Army to have a once in a lifetime season. And man, what that Army Navy game to close out the season every year is just something special.
Yeah.
But man, what would that be like if you put that setting with the winner potentially going to the college football playoff? Because Navy, they're equally is off to a historic start for the Naval Academy as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that them being favored in every game except Notre Dame, that's just because of Notre Dame's name.
Yep.
That's just kind of the schedule they've played. But that game every year, it's always tight. They play Notre Dame tight, and Notre Dame kind of struggles because you don't see that Army office very often. And I think the biggest thing with, talking to Bryson and just seeing his interviews, his offense got some accolades and he got some love, but their defense has been stout this year. And any defense, if you can be stout and hold points and give that Army team the chance to put up points, I think they're going to win a lot more games. And, you said it, that Army-Navy game could be huge. First time both of them have been 5-0 since World War II, since 1945. And so that's a big deal. And I think that, just credit to him, especially in today's age, guys changing schools, moving around, flipping around, for him just to kind of stick it through. Been there all those years and really get that, pride of wearing Army on his on the back, having that C on his chest as the captain, and just representing Abernathy at the highest level.
Yeah, a leader among leaders.
For sure.
At one of the central leadership institutions in all of the country and really all of the world.
Yep.
As far as that's concerned. So huge thank you to Bryson Daly. Love him, love his family, and just know that we're all pulling for him.
Yep.
And wishing him nothing but the best the remainder of the season. So let's take one final timeout, Chance, and we will come back and kind of put a wraps on this episode of Outside of the Box. If you are needing your heating or air conditioning unit serviced, look no further than JC Refrigeration in Lubbock. We have been serving West Texas with all of their HVAC needs for many years and look forward to serving you. When you use JC Refrigeration, you know you'll be getting honest and reliable service from professionals that you can trust. Give us a call today at 744-9855. JC Refrigeration proudly supports the Antelopes and Ladylopes.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are proud to be known as the ag retailer of the future and are committed to helping growers meet their full potential. We consistently provide the best performing chemical, fertilizer, and seed products, financing programs, and second to none technology. With 6 locations nearby, Nutrien Ag Solutions is ready to serve you with all of your agricultural needs. David Carver and his team are thankful for the customers who continue to trust Nutrien with their business. We are wishing the Antelopes and Ladylopes an incredible and blessed year.
And welcome back to Outside the Box. So thank you to all our sponsors, as always. Shout out to all of them. We couldn't be here without them, right, Ty? So shout out to them.
Absolutely.
Shout out to MC Masters and the new lid right here.
There you go.
Looking for Matt right there.
If they fit my head, I would wear one. I promise.
There you go. But go support them. They support us. So if you have anything that you need, give them a shout. So, all right, Ty, it's the end of the show. Kind of got to do our Friday preview. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Newhome's coming to town. First game against the Leopards. They've kind of had a back and forth season. They're 2-3, and they come in. They did play a challenging non-district, so they're kind of hard to figure out. They beat a 4A team in Liberty by 1. They run up the score on Denver City, 63-6, but then they lose a nail biter to Ropes, which
Ropes has turned out to be a really good. I think they're undefeated.
Yeah, and so lose a nail biter to them, 23-21, and then they lose a close one to Muleshoe, who put up almost 70 on Canadian
And lost.
and lost, yeah. But
still, yeah, absolutely.
So a Muleshoe team that also is much bigger than them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they played a Roscoe team who's played a tough schedule. And they kind of laid an egg in their last game. That was the one that just – they have 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. And so even though they are 2-3, they've actually almost outscored their opponents because of that big game against Denver City. So defensively, they played well. Even in those tight games, they don't allow a lot of points. So it's not encouraging.
Yeah.
But
right.
We know it's going to be tough, to say the least. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you said it. They're only giving up 19 points per game on average, despite the 2-3 record. So they're going to be good on defense. Newhome, they went 11-1 last year. They went 12-3 the season before that. They lost a lot coming into this year.
Yeah.
They had a lot of holes to fill. I'm not going to say it was a full-blown rebuilding year for the Leopards because they did get a standout quarterback back in the lineup, but they did have a lot of holes to fill. I think they returned like 5 starters on both sides of the ball. So, you've got a team in Newhome that probably is finding their footing a little bit, getting some young guys experience. You've got their quarterback, Caleb Cook. You've seen what he can do. If not this year, the previous year or so, as last year Cook passed for over 2,200 yards and 25 touchdowns, kind of to pace the Leopards. You've also got a running back in the backfield in Baron Bass, and then I'm assuming brother, cousin, something, wide receiver in Colby Cook, one of the few returning skill players, and probably going to be a favorite target of Caleb. So some guys to keep an eye on, Chance. But when you talk about keys to this game for Abernathy, you just mentioned it with New Home's recent struggles have been in large part them hurting themselves. Yep. They turned the ball over 4 times against a Roscoe team. They outgained them offensively, but when you turn the ball over 4 times, you're not going to win. Nope. And so don't beat yourself. Penalties, turnovers, things like that. I think you've done a good job of being balanced on offense. I think you've got to continue to do that. And then 4 quarters on defense. Your defense has had flashes of being stellar.
Yes.
And then it just almost is like for maybe a quarter, they kind of go through a lapse and give up some big plays and give up a couple of touchdowns or this or that or the other. And I think our favorite key to the game, and I've got to give you credit for this because you came up with this, so I'll let you tell us the 4th key to the game.
With those brothers or cousins or whatever, like just don't let them cook. We can't let them cook.
Caleb and Colby cook.
Don't let them cook. You can't let them get after it. And I think what I'm trying to say there is don't let them get hot.
Yeah.
Especially in a district ball game, and intensity is going to be high. They're going to travel well. Their stands are going to be packed. I can guarantee you that.
Absolutely.
And they're going to come in here. They're used to winning. That's the biggest thing.
That's their culture.
They are used to winning, and they're going to come in here ready to win and ready to say, hey, we may be
and expect to win.
New kid on the block, but we're not new to winning. And so I think you can't let them get hot, and just like you said, we've had that little 8-9 minute stretch after halftime where it's like they made some adjustments. We're going to give up some points. We did well against Friona. We give up 2 touchdowns, but we answered back on offense. Yep. We've done well the past couple of weeks where we're minimizing those turnovers, especially against Friona. You had the one mishap, but really we're seeing a team that's really growing up. Now there's not want to say there were excuses before of growing, but now it's like, okay, hey, this is where it counts right here. Fewer mistakes, less grace, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So we're going to expect more, and I think the coaches and the staff are going to expect more of the players, and I think that especially having 2 weeks to prepare. But remember, New Home had 2 weeks to prepare and get healthy as well.
Absolutely.
And so just making sure we don't let them get hot, don't let them come in here and kind of punch us in the mouth early, don't let them get any kind of momentum, and just kind of stay with our game plan. Don't let them get you off balance, and kind of don't become one-dimensional. You can't rely on Rolando, and you can't rely on Wiley. You got to rely on the whole team and then let the defense come out and kind of shut them down.
Well, and Chance, I promise you, just like we've had New Home circled in our schedule since we knew we were in a district with them, I promise you that they've had us circled on their schedule as well. It just promises to be a rival, promises to be a good ball game, a good competitive ball game, 2 really good small school athletic programs.
For sure.
And it's not going to just be in football. It's going to be in every sport. And two household names in West Texas in the small school classification. So it should be fun. Friday night, 7 o'clock. We'll hit the air at about 6:45 with our pregame prior to the kickoff of District 2A play at Antelope Stadium on Friday night. Chance, next week's show, we already said it, we're going to have some interviews from our cross-country folks. Again, a handful of those going to the regional cross-country meet here in a couple of weeks. We're also going to recap in what is going to hopefully be a win against New Home.
Antelope victory.
And we're going to look ahead to New Deal. And I think after Bryson's interview, you and I both agree, our new slogan can just be, go Abernathy, beat New Deal.
That's it. That's what you got to say. I thought that was a funny thing that he said right off the bat. He's like, hey, the first thing I want to tell everybody, beat New Deal.
But it's funny. We talk about rivalries being renewed. Mm-hmm. New Deal was the rivalry when Bryson was in school.
That's it.
And when I was in school and when you were in school at New Deal.
It was.
But again, and you can speak to it from the New Deal side. As much as Abernathy didn't like New Deal, it was
reciprocated.
Reciprocated.
I think we both knew. It was a respect, like, oh, man, good people, but it's like you don't want to lose.
Except on Friday night.
Except on Friday nights or Tuesday nights, whatever it was for basketball. And when you're that close, you got to have some of that. And that's what I think is cool about this, being back in that district with towns that really are a lot closer to you and really more your size. And I think that's something that they're ready for it. And I think, like you said, New Home probably has a circled. They probably got New Deal circled too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they're coming in looking to make a statement, but I think it's going to be maroon on top. And I'm excited for it Friday. I'm excited to be back in the booth and inside the box and call a good game. So come out Friday and support the Lopes. And if you can't be there, tune in.
You know where to be.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, that'll put the wraps on episode 7 of Outside the Box. As always, good night
God bless.
and go Lopes.